exactly. Frater is in the building, so to speak. Your host tonight is me. I am Swami Shivananda Giri of meditativeliving.info. I will be guest hosting. Frater will be participating in the usual chat room way. Adam is on the board at American Freedom Radio. I thank the American Freedom Radio folk, the Romero family, for all that they've done in giving we, the alternative media folk, a platform from which to speak and say what we have to say. Because without them, we'd pretty much just be talking to each other on the telephone. So, thank you, American Freedom Radio. And thank you, Frater, for making your show available to this Swami on this day. This day happens to be very, very special to me for a number of reasons. This was my Incarnation Day, better known as a birthday. Oops, hold on, I've just hit something that I shouldn't have hit. Okay, very well. This is my birthday, and it was also the day that I received Divine Shaktipat initiation. In my tradition, Shaktipat is when the master, the guru, transmits into the seeker a bit of their consciousness. And this then begins the process within the seeker that then carries them up the spine in a physical way with the Kundalini and its rise, and it carries them outwards and inwards at the same time to the point of source, so that one is able to transcend the limitations of the body and the individuated and externalized mind, while at the same time being immanent, living within the limitations of the body and the mind. Because we function very differently depending on whether we are transcendent or immanent in any single moment. When you are transcendent, you are no longer within the limits of body and mind. Thought does not function as it generally does. It becomes something very different, something very expansive, absolutely infinite and eternal, which is what each of us are originally. And when you're in the transcendent space, well, it's basically indescribable. There is bliss, there is light, there are effects which can come and go, but there is a foundation, a solid knowing of what is. and what is important. Let me give out the number in case anyone would like to call in and ask a question, make a comment, register a complaint. You're free to do any of the above at 218-339-8525. That's 218-339-8525 to interact on today's Middle Chamber with Swami Shivananda Giri. And Frater's here. He's functioning like a silent partner today. The thing with this whole yogic process. First of all, let me define yoga to anyone who thinks, as I did once upon a time, that yoga is what the flexible people dressed in spandex at the gym do. That's not exactly how it is. That what they are doing is part of yoga. It is the physical part of yoga called hatha yoga. But there is much, much more than that to be done. And no one has ever become enlightened and liberated by just doing hatha yoga postures. Okay? They're great for the body, and they assist us to go deeper within. And in that going deeper within, we come to find a number of things that we have believed with the utmost sincerity for all of our lives are completely untrue. And that is the way it is. Because the masters, regardless what tradition they became masters through, they all basically know the same thing. There would be no argument between a group of masters in various traditions. They would only see that that's the way that each of them got to where they are. And there is not a lick of fight between any of them. And that is the very truth of the matter. Because anyone who has gone within and found the truth has found basically the same thing. Now, it may have been described to them by their master in different ways, one tradition to another. That's very normal. But what is found is the same. There's nothing differentiating it. The only differentiation is in how we speak of it and how we try to describe it. Because to describe the indescribable becomes a somewhat daunting task. And once you've experienced it, as I did when I received my Shaktipat, I was pushed. It wasn't a me doing anything. I was pushed from within by my guru into God consciousness. And when normal reality came back, I didn't even know how to think about what had just happened. So It is an intensely individual and personal occurrence. And I hold no judgment against anyone for the way they have approached that, or the way that they express that after finding it. It does no good at all to complain or to judge or to beat someone up about it. It is completely ridiculous to do so and counterproductive. All that we find to fuss about are ideas, thoughts. And each of us is completely free to have our very own thoughts, our very own feelings, our very own opinions, all based on the information we are working with in that moment. Because all of it could change in the next moment and you find something else to be the case. And I know that for me, I started out kind of going outside the religious box shortly after I got out of the military. I was a United States Air Force person, an airman. Anyway, I got into witchcraft first. And I found some things that were interesting and thus and such, but it was all far too ritualistic for me. I couldn't really get into it. So I kept searching, and I then got into martial arts practice. And I got very, very deep into martial arts practice. Eventually going on to set Guinness World Records in breaking concrete with my head and doing all sorts of things like that. I've been on ESPN on the World Breaking Championships way back in '99. And everything I would dig into, though, just kind of took me further back in time to more and more profound things. So that was the path that I walked. And eventually, I found a book called Autobiography of a Yogi that was written by Paramahamsa Yogananda, who was one of the very first Indian yogis to come to the West to teach. And when I opened that book for the first time, I opened it to a picture of Yogananda's guru's guru. Okay? So the man who gave initiation to and taught Yogananda's guru was the one pictured here. And as soon as I saw this picture, I broke out in joyful tears out of nowhere. I didn't know why. I just did. And I didn't understand it. It didn't make any sense to me at all. But that's what occurred. So I read the book, and I found out that, what I thought of as yoga was just a really, really small slice of what is going on. And I come to find out that, the Buddha was a yogi. That was how he became the Buddha. was by doing yogic meditation. And it's all the same stuff. It's all the same, many, many different paths leading to the top of the same mountain. And once you're at the top of the mountain, you can see everything in every direction without any trouble at all. And things begin to make sense. You find that, well, I'll tell you what you find here in just a moment as we continue the Middle Chamber on American Freedom Radio. The Middle Chamber here on American Freedom Radio. I am Swami Shivananda Giri, sitting in for your interdimensional host or hyperdimensional supercube, whatever he calls himself from time to time. Frater X is taking the night off, but he's still hanging with us. He's interacting in the chat room. He's just turning the reins over to me for a little bit, and I'm very, very thankful to have this opportunity to communicate with you, whether you are listening live or in the archives. Because I bring you the blessings and teachings of His Holiness Mahamandeleshwar Paramahamsa Swarupananda Vishwaguru Maharaj of Los Angeles. That's a big mouthful of stuff to describe the first American-born white man to be invited into the rank of the 80 Mahamandeleshwars in Hinduism. The 80 Mahamandeleshwars are enlightened and liberated humans whose duty it is to spread the Dharma, the way, the truth. What we represent is, I tend to back away a little bit from the term Hinduism, because what we're about doesn't have so much to do with the Indus Valley residents that the English were calling Hindus because of the Indus River. What we are expressing is Sanatana Dharma. That's spelled like Sanatana Dharma, which means the eternal way, or the eternal truth. What we do and the way that we do it has been done for millennia. As long as there have been humans becoming enlightened, they have been using this methodology and this practice. And I now serve as a representative from the Western Church of Sanatana Dharma. And our function is to spread the understandings that we have of how life works and the way that every human being can come to the direct and conscious experience of their source and eventually come to identify themselves as only a bit of that source, but not different from it. When you first start, you of course think, okay, me here, God over there, up there, all that stuff. Well, this is incorrect. This is wrong. And there are very, very good reasons why the various isms want you to think that way. Because that then puts you in a position without access and needing these religious structures and those representing them to interact for you with the source. Well, I'm here to tell you from direct experience of my own and direct experience of those that I work with, those that I have guided, but that is not the case at all. You are never, ever separate from the source. You must forget that basic unity that the source is. It does not change. But as we individuate, as we become a soul and appear on the planet Earth or any of the other planets that hold human life, of which the Vedas say there are 400,000 planets in the cosmos that have human life. But as we individuate on the planet, we must forget that we are all that ever was, all that is, and all that ever can be. We have to forget that in order for the seeming individuation to stick. Then, because we are in this forgetful state, it's really a lot like being, if you can work with me, let your mind follow this thought just a little bit. You're born an actor on a stage. On this stage, a play is taking place. It was going on before you got there, and it will continue to go on after you leave, but you have some function within it for a time. This is an incarnation. This is where you must forget that you are everything so that you feel like one thing, an individual. So you go into this play, and all you can really do is look around you, assess what you can see occurring, and try to find a way to interact in a meaningful way with what is apparent to you. And this is living. That is life. And after reincarnation after reincarnation, we are under the influence of both karma and dharma. Karma being the circumstances that you're going to have to face based on previous actions that you have taken in word, and in deeds from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. Karma is also involved with thought as well, but that's at a much more subtle level. What manifests physically as your body is karma. It's not different, because your karma is going to set the parameters within which you must function. And that which is destined to occur, regardless how you try to avoid it, will occur. And that which is not to occur for you, regardless how you try to get to it, will not occur. And these are hard and fast rules of the game of creation. Because all that you can see, all that you can feel, taste, smell, and touch is a play of consciousness, a play of light and shadow on the stage of consciousness. But you, what you are, was before consciousness even. You are prior to all things. You are prior to all names. You are prior to all forms. You just had to forget that for a while. Some of us are in the position now, at this time and this place on this planet, where we have the opportunity to awaken from that forgetful state. And this can happen in any number of ways. There's way more than one for it to occur. Some people have spontaneous enlightenment events occur. Those are very, very rare. So don't look for that, because I guarantee you those who had it occur weren't looking for it. They had no clue. It just happened. Most of us have to go to someone who has already remembered and recognized their original condition. In my tradition and the tradition of India, this individual is called a guru. But let me tell you very, very clearly, the word guru does not refer to a teacher. It refers to the light which removes darkness. That's it. That's all the word guru means. So what actually occurs is when one becomes a guru, they take on that function of the light which removes the darkness of ignorance. Ignorance is not a bad thing. It is only a condition which is temporary. And in this game, in this play of consciousness, that is what all of us come in under the influence of ignorance. We don't know. We're trying to figure out. And all we can do is respond to that which is presented to us and to the individuated and externalized mind through the physical senses. And in the purest sense, even that knowledge is bondage to ignorance, because it is rooted in the ignorance. It is gained through the senses. It is not directly and consciously experienced from within. That is where the truth is at. That is the heart that the masters talk about. When the masters say heart, they are not referring to the pump within your chest. Neither are they referring to the heart chakra. What we are talking about, I like to think of it as the heart space within the head, because I think that represents it fairly well. Also, there are numerous experiences people have which bring them into contact with this heart space within the head that they experience directly and consciously, right in the middle of a mundane life. These things occur. But when we go to the guru, okay, to one who performs this function, we have to go to that individual, be they male or female, either one. In my personal lineage, there's a woman named, she has passed now, she's left the body, taken what we call Mahasamadhi. We will talk about Anandamoyi Ma in just a few on the Middle Chamber on American Freedom Radio. Namaste. I welcome you with great love and great respect to the Middle Chamber on American Freedom Radio. I'm Swami Shivananda Giri, sitting in for my good friend Frater X. I am so thankful he has made his sandbox available to me so that I can come and play with you tonight. Thank you, Frater, once again. And thank you, Adam, at the board in Austin. I want to get some shout-outs out of the way. Frater's been working hard behind the scenes, trying to push the collaborative effort that folks from around the world are working towards. The Romero family, Frater, Freeman, Vinny Eastwood, the bionic smartass from New Zealand. And I say that with the greatest love and respect, because he's just, I've been a smartass in my life, and I got to tell you, having been a smartass, he is the bionic smartass. I couldn't have touched him. But Frater's been hard at work getting the Middle Chamber playing around the planet, not just on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, but also on WAPR in Asheville, North Carolina. Congratulations, Frater. You got Asheville Public Radio, got them hooked up. I hear we're broadcasting in Austin at, now I've lost it. There it is. Lake Travis, 100.1 FM west of Austin. Listening live. Thank you very, very much for tuning in and giving access to your efforts for us. There are so many of us. So many of us who are just doing small things. Whatever it is we can do in the effort to uplift one another. We all realize very deeply these are treacherous times. There are psychopaths and sociopaths with their hands on the controls of our planet. And what we are doing is beginning the effort to change that fact. We don't have to let these beings do what they're doing. And it doesn't matter what you call these beings. That's completely irrelevant. We can just break it down to they are psychopaths and sociopaths. And they do horrible things because they have no conscience. There is no innocence in them anymore. Now, I personally do not recommend killing these people because that's just not part of my way. That is not the proper Dharma. We have prisons. That will do just fine. All we have to do is get these individuals away from the levers of power. And we already have places to put them. That's not a problem. It just has to happen. And in whatever way people can awaken, that's good. Because, you know, I came from the conspiracy theory crowd. I started in the conspiracy theory stuff back when I was the chapter leader and martial arts instructor for the Phoenix, Arizona chapter of the Guardian Angels. You might be familiar with the Guardian Angels out of New York City who ride the subways and wear the red berets. Well, I did the same thing, except we did it in Phoenix, Arizona. And we didn't have subways there, but we had plenty of cracked neighborhoods. And we would go out there and we would patrol the cracked neighborhoods. And if we saw someone do something illegal, we would place them under citizen's arrest and call the cops. And the cops would come and get them. Now, that's kind of a dicey thing to do in a lot of neighborhoods, but we did it. And, you know, I've had knives pulled on me and been hit with things and shot at and, you know, all that sort of thing. That just goes with doing that kind of a gig. But it was a volunteer thing. I loved it. Anyway, while I was doing that, I ran into a guy who took me to a meeting of the John Birch Society. And the John Birch Society had been involved in the destruction of our constitutional republic for a very, very long time. And that's how I got into it. And found out that, you know, the Federal Reserve is not federal, it's privately owned, you know, all that stuff. Well, then I proceeded through those channels and in the conspiracy thing to become a very strong listener of Alex Jones and yada, yada, yada. You know, the way most folk do in this time. But then I went beyond those things and into the search for enlightenment and liberation. And once once I started really getting a good, strong grip on the practices and the teachings of enlightenment and liberation, I found that the things that previously brought rage to me about the psychopaths and the sociopaths became understandable. That's what they are. That's how they think and function, and to expect them to do anything different is completely foolish. So, here we are on this stage. They're doing what they're doing, but we are doing what we are doing. And we have far more power than they have. They get dark magicians and occultists and all this stuff. They take advantage of people with unusual abilities because they can't do any of it on their own. They can only play with that which has already been created and is in the field of effect, but they can't add anything to that. They have to go and tap people on the shoulder who they can bribe or blackmail and that sort of thing. So I just want you to know, regardless where you might be, if you just today found out that there is a cabal of negative individuals doing horrible things, I've been there. And in the unlikely event that you have directly and consciously experienced the divine within yourself, I've been there too. So we can discuss anything in that range. All right? I want to keep things tonight moving more towards the enlightenment and liberation, because that is where all of our freedom lays. And each of us can only express what we know. So we just do the best that we can. I understand we have a caller from the 617 area code. Are we there? I guess. We are waist deep in the middle chamber on American Freedom Radio. Hour number 2. And I'm just tickled pink to be here. Well, actually, I'm closer to orange due to the robes at the moment. Adam, if you would, bring 617 on, please. Namaste, Ed.
Namaste. How are you doing?
I am doing surprisingly well. And you?
I'm doing excellent.
All right. Now, boys and girls, this man who I am speaking to now is out of North Carolina, very near Asheville. I won't give your address so you don't have people beating down your door to touch your feet and stuff. But Ed is the first human who received Shaktipat initiation through me. And Ed is now a fully enlightened and liberated human being, and in a perfect position to tell you from a very Western and directly experienced point of view what being enlightened and liberated is, as opposed to what people think about liberation and enlightenment. Ed, what would you say to that?
Oh, boy.
A laugh. That's the best part. Yep.
Well, it's pretty hard to wrap it in language.
I know.
So it almost feels like everything I thought that I was, like my identity and my mind and my body and my life, is just like the pinky finger of a much, much, much larger identity that I've shifted into. And I still experience my life, and I still go to work, and I still have family and friends, but it's radically different and radically the same in some ways. I'm frequently like overwhelmed with feelings of joy and love at everything, at pain, at children, at traffic, at delays at the airport. It's just everything takes on. I mean, it's always been there in this sort of beautiful Eden-like form, but it just, you don't see it. You look through it constantly and you miss it. And eventually what happens is you're unable to miss it and you can't stop seeing it anymore. And then you sort of flip into this alternate universe where you're still you, living your life and having your karmas work themselves out. But you know that ultimately it's pure love, and it's everywhere, omnipresent, glorious. You know, it's pretty awesome.
Well, see, and you know, what I find kind of difficult is the way we use the word love is not being experienced by those who don't know what we know. Their love is primarily a reaction of hormones or something of a business deal. You be nice to me, give me what I want, I'll try to give you what you want, and we'll love each other. And then when something along those lines stops working, the love stops. But what we know to be true is this other love that has no rules to it at all.
I mean, they get hints, and you sort of... The crazy thing about it is that it's inside of you right now, whoever's hearing this. Like, it's already there. And when you see someone outside of you that you love, it's just a reflection of what you're projecting out from inside of you. It's always available. It's just that you limit it, and you don't let it come all the way out. And you sort of narrow its scope, and then you turn it into a business transaction. But it's always there, and it's just waiting for you to come and look at it and offer yourself to it.
Right. See, and that is another word that we frequently use in the yogic parlance, and that word is surrender.
Yes.
And I think the common understanding of that is problematic because people hear you need to surrender and they immediately become defensive, as if this is a submission that's going to be a problem. And it's not that. It's not that at all. It's actually a show of intelligence that you go, I've been driving the bus all my life, putting it in one ditch after another, but I don't have to do that anymore. It's that kind of surrender that we're talking about in the yogic parlance. It's not the surrender that a losing army gives to the victorious army. Not like that at all. It's the realization that things are better when I keep my hands off the wheel. Because you've learned by experience that you will consistently run it off the road due to one thing or another. And that's just, that's the way my direct experience has shown me. And then watching you come up has just been amazing, because no matter how screwed up I thought of myself within, you continued making progress. You were in no way restricted by anything I thought negatively about myself. And that was a great gift to me.
Sure.
And, I function as a Swami. I am a vessel of divine grace that gives the Shaktipat initiation. And even though people who get Shaktipat will associate that with this Swami form and name, I guarantee you I'm not doing it. It is occurring, yes, but I'm watching just as amazed as the person who's receiving. Because it's not like once upon a time I was into the subtle healing and doing Reiki and that sort of thing. And that is all done through the individuation by intellect and allowing energy to flow through you. But it still requires that individuation primarily to open the gate, open the floodgate and let this flow through. And I came to find out that's not necessary at all. Because the Shakti knows more than I do. The Shakti has been doing this always. And I don't have to know everything. That was a big relief. and just being lucky enough to transmit this Shakti, which will interact with every individual in a different way. I cannot tell you what's going to occur or what... okay, Ed, when you and I first met, if I would have told you, hey, if you keep talking to me on the phone and through online chats, one day your belly button while you're lying in bed is going to reach for the ceiling.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made any sense. Yeah, it would have seemed impossible. I would have said you were crazy. Definitely.
Yeah. But
I would have liked to believe it. Well, it happened.
Would you mind describing that for folks just for a minute?
All right, I'll try. Okay. So, I've been doing a lot of practices for years leading up to it. And I had a number of minor experiences, which at the time seemed major. And it was it turbocharged it essentially, and I am very doubtful in my heart, and that's always been a difficulty for me to overcome. And it just took my brain and blew it apart. Like, I mean, I was still in my body and thinking thoughts, but there was sort of a surge of energy that coursed through me, and I started seeing all sorts of amazing things when I was meditating at night. I was seeing Hindu gods and getting zapped by massive energy bolts. That I was doing automatic backbends in my bed. Like, I was doing things that I can't do willingly with my body. And it was the Shakti getting me ready and cleaning me out and moving through me in whatever way intelligently it was required to bring me to where it needed me to be. And I guess the thing for me was, it wasn't anything that I was doing. It wasn't anything I was willing. It wasn't any of my effort. My effort was laughable in comparison. It was just, it was like I was playing with the toys of enlightenment. But when grace does descend, if you're lucky enough to have it happen, it's the most humbling thing ever, because it doesn't matter what you think or how you act or how you try or don't try. When it's ready to connect with you, it's overwhelming, undeniable, potent, intelligent force that's everywhere and has been all the time, and it changes you, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Okay, Ed, hold on just a second. Adam, if you would, bring on 508, please.
Good evening, Swami.
Namaste. Who's this?
Namaste. This is CB.
Oh, hey, CB. What's up?
How are you?
I don't know. You tell me.
Great show tonight.
How do I seem? What have you heard?
How do you seem? You seem very lucid and in control tonight. And nice show tonight. You've brought up many, many interesting points. I'd like to go back to about, I don't know, just the first quarter of your show when you were talking about people becoming aware and moments of clarity. I've experienced, and I just like to bring this topic up for a moment because you were sort of honing in on that earlier in the show about how people have to become awakened and have to awaken within themselves their potential, and those moments of clarity, and it's so important, especially today. I mean, in today's society of this commercialist corporate mindset, where our children are brought up today under extreme commercialism and advertisement. I mean, that's all they see. That's all, and I'm a product of that as well.
Right.
But we have to break free from that. We have to get away from that, and because it just distracts us from who we are as individuals. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And just here in this moment, as you were saying that, I was thinking that I don't know if it's really a breaking free of it or a simply accepting that was the condition, but now there's more available.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not a negative thing at all. We all come from somewhere. We all start in some way. But none of it has been negative. All that has occurred had to occur. There was no way around it, or you would have gone around it. So regardless what we think about our past,
Yeah.
You have to be mindful that those circumstances were necessary in their time.
Yeah, in each individual's life, right? I know what you're saying there. Yeah, but I'm just saying as a people, we have been led astray by our government and by commercial interests, and it's hurting our katra.
Yep. Hold on, CB. We'll be back here in just a little bit. Brandon and 404 are coming up very soon. You are in the middle chamber. I welcome you with great love and great respect. You are in the middle chamber on American Freedom Radio. I know, I might sound a little like Frater X, not half as vocabularious, but I'm Swami Shivananda Giri, and I hope you're enjoying the show thus far. I'm a very informal, westernized, blunt kind of dude, and I've done almost all the stupid things you have ever done in your life, too. And yet, I became a Swami. Wasn't exactly a goal. It is a function I've been assigned to carry out, and I'm very, very happy to do that. Adam, if you could bring 253 into the mix. Brandon,
hey, Swami. Yeah, hey, namaste.
Namaste, my friend. Good to hear your voice again.
Likewise. Hey, so I got a call. This is the second time I've called in. I got a call in the middle of my first attempt that my kids are going to be showing up earlier than I expected. So I might have to duck out a little early just to give you a heads up. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I'm just happy you're here at all. Okay, everybody, this is Brandon. For those of you familiar with the friendshipagenda.com social network, which was brought to life by the Friends of Freeman, Brandon and I met there. He became an initiate, and he is making amazing progress in a very short amount of time. In fact, Brandon, could you give us a sketch of what's occurred for you since we met?
Some crazy stuff. I don't even know where to start. It's kind of...
Start with initiation. Wait, I tell you what, start with when you met me and we'll move forward.
Okay, so by the time I came across you, I had been doing sadhana for some time, a spiritual practice, mostly yogic. I incorporated hermetic and shamanic type things into it also, and I had some good results. I wasn't getting results after a certain time, and I had resolved to take a guru, and I had found one I was thinking about hooking up with, and I think she was the real deal. But I met you. I read the book Play of Consciousness by Swami Muktananda at your recommendation, and I knew this was the tradition for me, and so I was initiated.
And after the initiation, what became evident to you?
I don't know how to answer that at all, to be honest with you. I guess a good way to categorize it would be to say that I started getting glimpses. I had already been there in yoga. There is a term called samadhi, which is I guess you could call it God union or union with the absolute. And a lot of people equate that to bliss, or at least that's one of the things that rides along with it. In terms of how people will describe it, I had some bliss experiences. Those kind of got ramped up. They're still sporadic, but the glimpses seem to become a little deeper and occur in more random places. For example, I had bliss experiences sitting and meditating. And when the average person hears the word bliss, I don't think there's any category a person has any frame of reference for what that means. I think the word is kind of inadequate. But it's amazing. Ecstasy is another word that kind of captures a part of it. And it's not just about that. There's other things that are going on. There's an energetic thing that's going on. And I had that a couple times in seated meditation. And after I received Shaktipat from our guru, it kind of ramped it up a little bit. Occasionally I will see Shakti or other manifestations that aren't like 3D type stuff. One time, the weirdest one was that I came home, I was wiped out after working out, which is part of my sadhana. And my son walks in the room. He just gotten home too, and he had apparently gotten a wild hair and was just shrieking like a banshee and raising hell. And for some reason, that energetic exchange sent a wave of bliss shooting up my spine. It was a bodily sensation and a euphoric sensation at the same time. My daughter's home, kind of doing the same thing right now.
Okay.
And there was no logical cause and effect reason for it. It just happened. I guess the takeaway message that I got from that was that the sense of it was like momentarily, without me having to do anything about it. I wasn't even thinking about it. Attachment and aversion was no longer there. I was just experiencing it, and it was just blissful, and I don't know how to describe it any better than that.
Well, I think you've done an excellent job. Thank you very much for calling in, Brandon. I love you so
my
much.
pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Go take care of them noisy kids now.
Will do. Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, Adam, 404, please. Area code 404. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Swami?
Yes.
So it seems a little bit paradoxical to me. Question I have is, if we're brought into a set play or a staged play, as you say, in our birth, we don't know we're in this play.
Right. Then
what is the purpose to teach us that it is just a play? Doesn't that spoil the game?
Reword your question. I'm not sure what you're... It's something that's gained through realization. And the entire game of the play of consciousness, the point of it is God becomes individual so that the individual may again become God and aware of all of it. But during a portion, there is this forgetting that we are all of it. So in that forgetting, you can only function according to what you know and what you see going on around you. Does that make sense?
Slowly starting to sink in.
Okay.
I guess it just seems odd to me that there's a reason for us to come in not knowing anything, and if we have teachers or people other than ourselves teaching us that it's just a game, why wouldn't we just be born knowing this, not a game? It almost seems like it's something you should learn on your own.
There would be no point to the individuation then. Once you know all this, you don't come back. You don't keep repeating endlessly the incarnation cycle. The objective is to wake up and function in a higher way, and that's it. Rediscover that you are all of it, without exception. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it is not different than you.
Great. So no matter what karmic things you may have dragging you down, once you figure this out, then you ascend.
I steer away from the word ascend, but yes, what you're speaking of, yes. But this is not an intellectual exercise. It is an exercise of direct and conscious experiencing. It's not what you read in a book. I can burn all the books on this planet and still get people enlightened. They don't have to read a damn thing. They just have to take the initiation, do the practices, and keep interacting with the person who initiated them. And all this, as you've heard from Ed, as you've heard from Brandon, will just naturally happen within you. It's not somewhere outside of you. And if it's not happening within you, it's not happening. Period. You're still in the ignorant state because you don't yet know the truth. You're not yet getting glimpses of it, you know? So that's basically all there is on that. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it, 404. And hopefully, if I come back to American Freedom Radio, we'll be able to talk again. Adam, if you would let the anonymous on, please. Namaste. Ganesha, are you there? Okay, Ganesha, are you there?
Now I'm here. There we go.
All right.
Can you hear me?
No, see, yeah. All is well. I'm learning the process here, and that was my mistake. Adam, of course, knows exactly what he's doing, and he's just being a deer and trying to help an ignorant Swami to push the right buttons when necessary. Anyway, Ganesha, namaste.
Namaste, Swami.
So now, all right, let me introduce everyone to Ganesha. Ganesha is an initiate who met me through the Friends of Freeman and friendshipagenda.com, and listening to my meditative living show on Blog Talk Radio, and through the auspices of the Type 1 network, Sonic and the crew out of Brighton, England, Phil and Steve and Feichik and, you know, all my friends over there. But he has been on great adventures. He spent a good period of time in Europe, in ashrams, and right now he is with the Guru in Los Angeles, and I would like for you to tell us a little about your experiences.
Okay. What would you like me to cover? Times and actions abroad? Weird stuff that's been going on? What?
Anything you feel like discussing will be fine. Welcome you back with great love and great respect. You're listening to The Middle Chamber on AmericanFreedomRadio.com or something connected to AmericanFreedomRadio.com. I'm Swami Shivananda Giri, sitting in for Frater X, guest hosting, thanking him so much for letting me come and play in his sandbox so that we can hang out together. Ganesha, are you there?
Yes, Swami. Can you hear me?
Yes. I would like for you to discuss some things about the Blue Pearl.
Awesome. Well, you'd probably be a better person to explain this than me, but just for the viewers in the audience, the Blue Pearl is this light or thing or something. It varies for everyone a bit, I think. But usually it's a very blue color, kind of lapis lazuli type. Usually it's a very good sign saying you're at this point in meditation practices. Granted, it's very non-linear, so it's just a really good sign. But for me, I'm starting to get to the point where every time I sit down for meditation for at least a few seconds, I'll just see it for a bit. But most notably is around, I think, Halloween. I went down to sit for my evening meditation, and it was this huge, massive cloud. It was like a mushroom cloud, and it was just all over the place while I was closing my eyes. And it was shifting, and it was there for like a good 8 to 10 minutes.
Because beyond the Kundalini Shakti rising, beyond what is called the Hamsa mantra, which is actually just hearing your own breath inside your head, and beyond the appearance of the Blue Pearl lies the infinite and eternal, which is our home and source. So this Blue Pearl, this inner thing, because no one's going to see it from the outside, but you most definitely experience it from within. And this is not something that you can just make show up or think about or no. It comes and it goes as it chooses, and that's the way this process works. And Brahmacharya Ganesha is looking at Blue Pearl. He's hanging out there in L.A. with the Guru, who I am so lucky to serve in the effort to uplift humanity. Every single human being can do these things. Every single human being can have these things, as you've been hearing my initiates talk about. You, sitting at home listening right now, you listening to the archive, you can have these things occurring within yourself. I'm not asking you to do anything on faith or on belief. I toss faith and belief in the fire. I want you to have direct, conscious experience, because that is where the real knowledge comes from. Otherwise, you're only parroting what someone else has said. So the objective is for each person who becomes an initiate to experience these sorts of things. And as you have heard tonight, it's happening. It can't be denied. These are just normal folks just as normal as you are. They've just taken up the practice. And in case you, the listener, are interested, I am going to now give you what we call mantra diksha. This is an initiation. If you wish to accept it, I am more than happy to gift it to you right now. The way we do what we do is very simple. All you have to do is mentally, not out loud, just mentally repeat the following. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Guess what? You have just received mantra diksha. If you will do this, based only on hearing me speak these words right now, the effect will occur within you. I dare you to prove me wrong, because I know you cannot. I know that if you begin to do this, it will have an effect on you. It will change the way you look at the world. It will change your life. I recommend doing 2 seated, eyes closed meditation sessions per day for the fastest and strongest effect. About 20 minutes each. One when you wake up and one before going to bed, where you will just sit, close your eyes, sit in a chair, sit comfortably. We don't want you uncomfortable. That draws your attention away from the meditation. Sit, close the eyes, and repeat, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Over and over and over. Until you notice you're thinking. Some thought has come up. Ooh, I like eggs, or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter what it is. When you notice that you're not going Om Namah Shivaya, you simply start again. Don't get angry with yourself. Don't think that you suck at meditation, because you do not. The actual practice is not about gaining some blank, void state. No, 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 no. It is about constantly redirecting the mind back to the mantra. If you are doing that, it doesn't matter if you have to do that 100 times. That is the practice. Many people misunderstand this when they come into the meditative practice. If you will do that, if you will sit and do Om Namah Shivaya for 20 minutes, twice a day. Also, throughout the day, I would like you to practice what we call japa. It is not meditative, but it is utilizing the vibrational frequency of the mantra within your mundane life. Just while you're driving, while you're doing anything, watching television, it doesn't matter. Just keep doing that. Keep running that over and over and over. And you will find it makes you feel good. that japa, just doing that, helps. Because I have Shaktipat to give. And now you have it lying at your feet. The key to your prison cell is at your feet. Will you reach down and pick it up? Will you put it in the lock? Will you turn the key and open the door as Ed has? Ed, you still with us?
I am, yes.
Is it worth the effort?
Yes, absolutely, it's worth the effort.
Okay. Brahmacharya Ganesha, is it worth the effort?
You bet.
There you go. And it's free. I don't want your money. It's free. I just want you to do it. I want you to be as awake as my friends are. I want you to be as awake as the Buddha. I want you to be as awake as Jesus. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Frater X, for allowing me to be here in the middle chamber on American Freedom Radio. Goodbye and blessings to all.